Hi, I'm on my first post-pandemic trip to Singapore. I've really enjoyed it. I kind of forgot a little bit of what it was like exchanging views with a different set of people, renewing old relationships. It's been really interesting getting the same feedback from the other side of the table. So long may it continue. In terms of issues I've discussed with people, clearly the topic of the day is US recession, US recession, US recession. And I'm not overstating it. It was in every meeting all the time. Some people are raising it as a genuine question, but most people actually have already formed a view, and the dominant view seems to be the US is going to have a pretty nasty tumble over the next year or two because of all these rate hikes. I don't agree with that, actually. Recession, maybe, probably, choose whatever word you like, but the question really is deep recession or not, and I don't think the central case is a deep recession in the US. There's obviously a bit of good news out of that. A couple of issues that I tended to raise with customers that I think they probably haven't been thinking enough about. One is on China. Most of the focus is on new lockdowns, end of lockdowns, what that means for the economy in the short term. But economies that are having lockdowns have tended to have sharp falls in birth rates. For that to happen in China 3 years in a row, that's a really important structural development that I think we all need to pay more attention to. And the second issue is on climate change. There's a bit of a sense, I think, that people are treating the impacts of this really unfortunate conflict in Europe between Russia and Ukraine as a bit of a one-off. What it does do, though, is show the vulnerability of the global system to these sorts of disruptions. There are lots of other potential sources of that as we go through this really difficult multi-decade balancing act around shifting the climate. And I think we just need to think a little bit more about that. The housing market in Singapore reminds me a bit of Australia. Prices look, not all that sensible necessarily, but yet vacancy rates are very low and rents are rising. Here they're rising very, very sharply. So actually there's some commonalities there. Maybe turning to some tactile issues. The coffee in Singapore, the best I can ever remember it, it's hard to get a bad coffee. In fact, what a fantastic development that is. Singapore also struggling with the slow return of migrant labour, like many other economies. Also had its own problems with the trade wars, with a shortage of fresh chicken in Singapore, which is a bit of a talking point locally. And maybe lastly, business cards still very much in vogue in Singapore. Bring plenty when you come. Thank you.